Where were we? We were talking about the irrational behaviors that we have as consumers, right? So we covered this behavioral economics concept, and then we were also talking about the thinking fast and slow, how we have two thinking mechanisms, right? So slow and fast. The slow thinking is rational, so we take into consideration all the information that we have, make our calculations, and make decisions rationally. And then thinking fast part, system one, we call it system one. System one is our subconscious mind. Okay, so based on our experience, where we grow up, our neighborhood or family, all of the information that we gather growing up is part of our system, that system one, fast thinking. And most of the time, we rely on our fast thinking mechanism to make decisions. So that is the game changer, to be honest, for customers and for like marketers to understand that, because most of the time, product owners think that customers are rational and they take their time to compare between like products and then services and then make their decision to fulfill or maximize their benefits, right? But this research showed us that we don't have time. If you remember, we talked about this cognitive overload. We don't have time or resources, cognitive resources, to do that. Okay? I don't know if I shared, like for example, if you go to the supermarket, right? So if you think about your last supermarket shopping, so what do? Do you generally like go to the brands that you know that you used to buy or you generally buy, or every time you take your time and said, okay, which toilet paper should I buy this month? Okay, let me check all the alternatives. We are not doing it, right? So most of the purchase behavior that we have is habitual, like using system one. We don't actually consider other options. We said, okay, this is the brand I know, I like it, and we are not even aware of other options even, right? So we are not even activating system two, the rational thinking part. So, yeah.
Has there ever been any research into whether that process is the same for foreign nationals? Because of course what we grew up with and what we have now are not the same.
Still, but it is your part of your thinking system, right? So you still, like whenever you see, I have a couple of activities today, whenever you see something, your brain brings an answer for that thing, right? So a choice or an answer or a reply, it's sudden, like immediately, right? So a matter of milliseconds comes to your mind. That is your system one. And then, based on your learning, right? So one is something like, maybe like part of your growing up, you're part of your identity or whatever you want to call it. But the other one is the learned part. So you can actually learn new information and try to change your judgment based on that. But system one is hard to educate. So you need to, so there are like so many studies, for example, in terms of like racial bias. So we try to be inclusive because we are learning that we need to be inclusive, we need to be more understanding, but still our system one, whenever we, there are kind of this type of tests, whenever we see a couple of options, based on our, again, like growing up or the community that we grew up, we have a tendency to select one over other, okay? So even if you ask everyone, it's like, yeah, we are trying to be inclusive, but when it comes to the fast selection, when you have like so many CVs, your brain actually still rely on system one. That's why we still have like, one dominant characteristic in work environment, etc. Right? So we try to change it, but system one still like feeding or getting the information or the factors from the fast thinking part. Yes. So for example, if you just give me the quick answer. When you see this part of the website, which brand's website is this? It's a screenshot from a website. Just tell me what comes to your mind first. H&M. Yeah, so is there any H&M logo somewhere, or have you seen it on the PDF document? No, it's not in PDF document. Don't you think it's surprising that you all get this one right? There is no logo, there is no brand name, nothing, but you still get it right. And it is H&M, to be honest. And every time I do it, I'm always surprised, right? So how people know this, because it is part of your system one without you even know it. So depends on how many times you get exposed to this design in their website, because sometimes you might think that it's Zara, because this is the first answer that comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be correct, it only depends on the time that you spend on different websites. Your brain thinks that this might be Mango, or this might be H&M, or Zara, etc. But most of the time, since it's also a well-known brand, people know the H&M website design, and they are not even aware that this website design is part of their thinking mechanism. Right? You are actually associating this with the brand itself, and immediately your brain brings the answer. Right? So whenever you see the screenshot of the website. So this is how System 1 works. If you think rationally, there is no way you can tell that this is H&M. This can be any brand, like I said, Zara, Mango, and if you look at their website and product design, they are pretty similar, to be honest. And on top of this is last year's design. This is not even this year's design, by the way. Right? So this year they are using more pastel colors, like a gray, black, etc. But because you saw this design last year, you know it's part of H&M. When you spend some time on the website, that's how you get this right. Right? But the other point is, again, thinking about this irrational behavior is psychological pricing. Look at the price here, for example. Instead of saying 30, they share it as 29. Actually, original price is even worse. Instead of saying 50, they put it at 49.99, right? So 99. So do you think it is working? They call it psychological pricing.
Yeah, because we all anchor on the higher price and we think actually we're getting value for money.
Yeah, but no, don't think about the high price. Only think about this, 0.99 type of pricing. It's called psychological pricing. Yeah. So when it is 49.99, do you think it is actually 40, or why do you think they still use the psychological pricing? Do you think it's working on you?
Yeah,
absolutely. Thanks for being honest.
But I find the sale that
Yeah.
I think I have to say that drives it more.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Yeah, so that's another thing. We are going to talk about this, right? So I have to actually always share that anchoring tip. But if you think about this type of little touch, even if we know, right, rationally, it is easy to round it up. 49.99 is close to 50. We all know that, right? But when you think past, so when you look at this in a store, okay, look at the shirt or dress, etc., see like 49.99. If you go to the next store, the price that you remember will be like 40 something. You are not going to remember it as 50 because we are rounding it down when we think fast, right? So we also kind of ignore the bit after the point, right? So the decimal part, we just ignore it when we think fast. And this is actually proof that even if you like to be rational, even if you know this concept, next time you are going to fall for this again, right? So that's how our brain works. And when you know this type of little tricks, and the marketers are aware of that, and they know it, and they use it, then you can influence your customers easily, okay? And then we will talk about that price reduction in a minute too. And in 1990, Roger Shepard, he's a psychologist as well, and he actually said that value this mistake that customers are making, right? So those are valuable mistakes. So you need to be aware of that, and you need to know how to use those. So if you look at the tables, those tables known as Shepard tables, by the way, and if you look at both of them, which one is longer? A or B?
It looks longer.
Yeah, so A looks
I
longer.
think A is going to be wrong, but I would
Yeah.
say A.
No, I mean, it looks longer to me as well. Right? So that's fair. But if I say that both tables are exactly the same, would you believe me?
Yes.
Since I'm teaching, right? So I'm not lying to you. But I still don't believe myself, right? So they don't look exactly the same, right? So I'm not talking about like surface area, but they are exactly the same table. And if some of you do not believe me, I have a video evidence here.
Believe it or not, these two tabletops I drew are exactly the same size. You're going to need proof for this, but you can easily draw this too. The proof cutout is
But
exactly
that transition,
you can draw this
you see?
too. The proof cutout
It looks like an
you can easily
illusion
draw
to me.
this too. The proof cutout is
And
exactly
yeah, so I mean, I don't know how many times I saw this video, how many times I used this in class material, but every time I look A and B, A looks longer. Okay? And every time I see that transition from this table to that, I'm like, what's going on? It's like getting longer.
Pause.
Yeah, it's not that's true. We are not treating it's real. There is no pause. It's a real video. I can continue.
Pause.
But it looks like that, right? So there should be something in it. But no, it's true. Because the connection between our eye and brain is not capable of understanding this. Okay? And I'm sure you heard about this in the writer you all know, Harari. And he tried to explain it in a way that our eye and the brain connection didn't complete their evolution because in time they didn't need, right? So our brain and eye connection didn't need to understand this type of depth on 2D surfaces. And also that, quick hand movements or really like fast change, that transition, we cannot catch those, even if we look so closely, right? There is the failure part, right? So and you need to be aware of that, because every time you look at, even if you are aware of this, you will still think that A is longer, okay?